SOLIDWORKS Design 2026 brings you enhancements across the portfolio. In this video, we'll focus on the new functionality coming to SOLIDWORKS for Electrical. In modern times, being able to fully develop and design your product in a virtual twin environment is a must. This includes designing your electrical systems at the same time as your mechanical. We need to complete the design of our harness for the vice head assembly of our horizontal directional drill. Let's take a look at how our newest enhancements for SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic, SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D and electrical routing can help. Before we start any design work, let's add some manufacturer's parts to our library. If you remember, we added the new import option back in 2024 SP3. With this initial release, we had to enter the value for every terminal for every circuit and separate the values with the appropriate delineators. In 2025 FD02, we improved the formatting options. Now you can enter the repeated values only once. See here the value for minimum number of wires or maximum and minimum wire size. I only have to enter the values once. When we import the Excel file, SOLIDWORKS Electrical will apply that value to all terminals of all circuits. We will simulate the import. It all looks good. Now we can import. Now let's check the manufacturer's parts reference manager for the new imported parts. I'll clear all filters, then apply a library filter and search. Here are all the new parts. I'll open one and you can see all the values that we applied to the terminals of all the circuits. Now we'll take a look at an improvement made to our dynamic connector insertion for 2026 GA. We're going to insert a symbol for our P1 connector. New in the dynamic connector insertion command, we have an expand button. This new expanded user interface contains the selection filters to aid with the selection of circuits and terminals to insert with your symbol. This is especially handy for connectors containing high quantities of pins. We're going to deselect 5 and 6 and insert that. Our next enhancement was released in 2025 FD01 with the component properties. We can assign accessory parts to circuits and terminals of our base part. Simply select the accessory part, the circuit, the terminal you want to assign the accessory to, and then click Associate. You can also right mouse button click on the terminal and select Associate. Lastly, you can also drag and drop the accessory to the terminal or the circuit. To verify, we can insert a connection label and you can see that we have the additional properties inserted with our connection label. You can see in the connection label, when we zoom in, we have our wire termination and it calls out the manufacturer's part number for that termination. Our last enhancement for SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic was added in 2025 FD02 with the new option for export to PDF. We have PDF by project, book or file, new defined document naming option, and formulas with options for folder name and file name. Our last option was for orientation, as an automatic option was added to auto-rotate for landscape and portrait drawings in the project. Here's the exported PDF. You can see that it rotates the orientation for the varying landscape and portrait drawings. As we open our 3D assembly again, we're going to take a look at the enhancements for 2025 FD01. This electrical routing enhancement is tremendously helpful for our SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D users. I'm going to open up my P1 connector and on my feature tree there is a new command on the right mouse button menu. View Edit Connection Points Parameters. This new command opens a table with all the connection points in the active file. We can update the stub lengths in one table versus having to edit the feature for each connection point. This helps reduce the time spent on setting up your electrical parts and reducing potential errors. Now that we've updated our connector, let's go back to our assembly. I want to route the wires to the lights to make sure they fit in the provided holes for the support structure. To do this, I want to utilise our next enhancement for SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D, our new 2026 XGA. There's a new option for the Route Selected Wires command. Selected Wires. This option allows the user ability to route individual wires from the project. I'm going to route the wires from P15 to P16. This new option is great for checking fit while still working on your design, or for better controls of where your wires are routed for specific design functions. As you can see, we get just the wires that we selected. Now we can go back and route more wires as needed. For our next set of enhancements, I'm going to switch to my completed harness. As we take a look at the completed vice head harness, I want to verify my wires in that harness. I'm going to hide the back shell. I can now highlight an individual wire to get our new tooltip for 2026 XGA. This displays the properties of the wire, the number, 2 connectors, and harness tag. If I highlight a branch of the harness, I get the number of wires and bundle diameter for the electrical route. This enhancement is for electrical routing, but all users can see this information even if routing is not turned on. Our final enhancement is also for electrical routing and is a part of our 2026 XGA release. I want to take a look at the flattened drawing for this harness. Let's take a look at the connector table. New in 2026 XGA, we have some additional route properties for displaying in our connector table. I can add a column to the right, and you can see that once we do route properties, I can get additional route properties to display. As long as the values are in the From To list, they will be displayed. Let's select the connector to connect. We'll update, say yes to update all tables, and then we'll add in the 2 connector pin information for this. Now we can have a more complete and flattened drawing for manufacturing. Together with our TriMech Group partners, we're showcasing the latest and greatest enhancements across the SOLIDWORKS 2026 portfolio on our dedicated What's New webpage. There you can dive deep into our blogs and videos that outline everything you need to know about the new release. And you'll also be able to get in touch with our experienced engineers for a tailored look at how SOLIDWORKS Design 2026 could boost your business.